Welcome back. Another episode of MPTV. This time, we're going across the border to Canada, but not really. We're in Kentucky still, but I got my man who's like the Jason Bourne of restaurant marketing because you're dual citizenship. Do you have like a stack of passports?
I can't confirm or deny that,
Can't
actually.
confirm that. Okay. So you spent many years of your adult life in the Tim Hortons world. So first, tell the audience who you are, a little bit about your background.
Sure.
Let's dig into it.
All right. Well, I'm Daran Adair. I'm been in hospitality for over 30 years. So I am
Damn,
old.
you're old.
I am old. Spent over 18 years with Tim Hortons. Covered 2/3 of Canada at one point to the other, and then moved the brand down to Minnesota. That's what brought me down to the U.S. So love the business, love working with restaurants, helping them achieve their goals, and it's just part of my DNA.
Yeah, we used to have Tim Hortons here locally. There was one right near my gym, which was comical because I would stop by and get a coffee and 2 glazed donuts and then head to the tracks for the workout. And I'm like,
I do that on purpose.
Yeah. But it went away. There's no more here in Cincinnati. So talk about what was your role in the Tim Hortons over those years? What was your expertise? What were you known for?
I did a lot of things in my time with them. Spent a lot of time doing training. When I left with them, I was director of operations, so I was focused on finding new restaurants. I've opened over 100 restaurants in my time with them.
Damn.
Yeah, so a lot of growth in that time. Managed my team and just wanted the restaurants to be a success. So looking at their P&Ls, making sure they're making money, helping them make the right decisions, and achieving their goals.
Well, cool. So we'll kick it right off. I got a question for you because this actually happened to me.
Okay.
So I won't mention the brand. Not going to put the brand on blast, but there's a brand that I love that has awesome products that I consume their stuff every week. Last week, I got an item from the restaurant, and there's 4 or 5 ingredients, and they're all pretty visible.
Right.
And the one was really different visually, which kind of made me like, what the heck's going on here? Is this the right item? And then when you ate it, it was obviously a much different experience.
Right.
So I actually ran into one of the employees in the restaurant and I made a comment. I'm like, hey, did you guys switch something? What was that? He's like, oh no, the wrong item came in from the provider. So we just used it. And I'm like, why not just put it on the shelf and use it with something else and get the right product? Because well, nobody said anything. I'm like, well, a lot of consumers aren't going to complain. They're just going to go somewhere else.
Right.
And like for me, I'm like, yeah, that's especially you with the Tim Hortons world. There's SOPs. There's exactly how this cup of coffee is made, how this donut's made, how this item. You just can't go off recipe, right?
No.
Or am I off bounds there?
You should. I mean, right now, this is a different time with COVID because there's shortages.
Well, this wasn't a shortage. This just had the wrong product come in.
But there's a lot of, sometimes suppliers will substitute without telling you.
Okay.
They should communicate that. And if it's a big change, then they should be communicating that to the guest because you're right. Consistency, standard builds, those are very important. You want to get that. You're paying for it. This is why you came into that restaurant. You want to get what you ordered.
Yeah.
But right now there are some things that are just not available.
Well, that's what's funny. This one was like he made a comment. Oh, we got it. It's just we had to go. I wanted to go ahead and get this used because we got it in. And I'm like,
yeah, that's just.
I get it. Like, but my comment was, dude, it's a different. And if I told you, I'll tell you off air what it is and you'll get it. But I'm like, it's a different product than what I ordered. It's almost like I come in to order Coke and you're like, you give me a cherry Coke and I get home and I'm like, I ordered a Coke. Oh, yeah. But it was weird to me because I think that's a huge item, especially with a brand like with Tim Hortons that's got, I guess, thousands of restaurants, I would imagine, right?
Yeah.
That you can't get to thousands when you just bebop and change stuff.
You can't. Absolutely not. And if they had the right item, they should have. There's no way they should have done that.
Yeah.
They got to be on top of their receiving. They got to be making sure that they're sticking to their procedures and policies because it's going to take somebody off. And like you said, they're not going to tell you. They're just not going to come back.
Oh, yeah. And that's what happens. And especially in this day and age, there's a lot of choices.
Yeah.
And, I like the brand. And I just asked the question. I wasn't complaining. I ate the product and went on my way. But I thought it was weird that when I heard the explanation, me being, if I was a normal consumer, I might say, oh, okay, whatever. But if me knowing what I know, I was just like, I want people to get what they paid for. And I want, if there's a product that somebody consumes on a consistent basis and they consume it on a consistent basis because of how it is, it should stay that way. And that's what comes to with multiplying locations. We've got the America's Best Restaurants van. We got van number 1 and number 2. My vision is to have 50 of them.
Yeah.
We haven't figured out 1 and 2 yet. I'm sure as hell not going to go do it more times until we figure that out.
Sure.
And that's another thing with the restaurant world is like Tim Hortons figured out what it took to do this. And I think a lot of restaurants could learn from what these brands do. Like they're the enemy. when you're a local coffee shop and you got the Dunkins and the Tim Hortons and they're the enemy to that local independent, but they should also be a place that you're shopping at to try and see what they're doing because they figured it out.
Right. Yeah. It's consistency is as important to that independent as it is to the big chains, and they should follow that, because when you're ordering something, when you're that regular guest, you've already started eating that meal or whatever it is before you even get there.
Yeah.
Right. Because you've been there so many times.
You're
right?
waiting. You're excited.
Yeah. It's just like, oh, I'm going to go there. I'm going to have for me, it's a few places, country fried chicken.
Oh man.
With the white gravy and that's just, if I go into and order country fried chicken, they only give me brown gravy, I'm going to be upset.
Yep.
Right. You're building that anticipation before you even go into that restaurant.
Yep.
So it's very important to make sure that you're being consistent with your product.
Yeah, and I had a friend of mine, Robert Krager, who was involved in have you heard of Great Steak and Potato Company?
Yeah.
So he was, used to be local, Cincinnati, Hamilton, and the Lonnie family that owned it. Robert was there, something to do with franchise development operations, and he would travel the country. And he's like, Matt, it was crazy. We'd have people that would get their great steak because they were a lot of airports. And so they had their exact route, business travelers. They fly here. This is, I'm going to get my Mountain Dew. I'm going to get my sandwich, my fries. And he's like, we'd randomly get these messages. Hey, by the way, did you guys switch to Coke? Because this location, everyone has Pepsi. This one had Coke. Did you guys switch? If so, I'm bummed. I love it, my Mountain Dew. Everybody associates certain drinks. And he's like, no, we didn't. So he'd have to call the franchise or fly out there and be like, bro. And then same thing he said with their bread they struggled with was sometimes when they weren't watching, a location would change the bread because they found a local supplier that was a little less expensive. And next thing you know, that person that's had that sandwich in 20 airports has a different experience.
Yeah.
And that's a key element. I think you've got to, even if you're one location or if you're 50, you've got to keep that exactly the same way.
Especially when they're your core items. You can't deviate from that stuff. It's what you build your reputation on.
Yep. So with regards to independence, what is the biggest thing? Because you've seen both sides of it.
Yep.
What are some of the biggest things that an independent could take from watching these mega brands? Like give me an example. I had a friend of mine who told me when this certain brand opens up, he finds something near them. He said, because they're a hell of a lot smarter than me when it comes to real estate. They spend a lot of money and they don't typically close the locations, this brand. He said, so I try and find a place to be around them, and then I've got the traffic down. What are some things you've seen maybe like that independents can pull from the experience of the big boys?
There's a few things that they can do. And there's some opportunities independents have that the big boys can't do. Right? I mean, I think you've used this analogy before. They're like that big ship and it's hard to turn.
It's hard to turn,
right?
baby.
Whereas an independent, I'm not going to say the P word because we've used it so much in the last year. Everyone gets upset when I say pivot. But you can do things to, it's that outsmart or outspend.
Yep.
You're not going to outspend those big guys. They're going to have their national marketing programs. They're going to have all that. You don't have those opportunities. Yep. But you can learn from them that you can be a little bigger than you are. And you can use the tools like Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn to connect with your guests and get your message out there. Right? You don't have to spend $1 million. Like, you don't have to buy those big game ads. I'm not supposed to say that word, am I?
Yeah.
Get in trouble for saying that. But you can do those things, and it's going to truly help you to get the word out. You're going to get known.
Yeah.
And I don't think we do a good enough job with the independents on getting known, letting people know our story. And we've got to do a better job of that with the independents. It's a great opportunity.
So let's talk about two things. We'll come back to the getting known because, we could say Super Bowl here. We just can't say it like in ads and things like that. That's the cease and desist world, which I get. They're protecting their IP.
Yep.
But when you think about pivoting and you think about moving, I look at it, and you mentioned Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. If you're a local independent and something's hot, like I don't know if you remember a couple years ago, Nashville hot chicken.
Mm-hmm.
Like it started with Hattie B's down in Nashville. Next thing you know, there's Nashville hot chicken restaurants popping up. And it took the big chains 2 years to get a Nashville hot sandwich on the damn menu.
Yeah.
I know independents that had it a week later. And I think that's, if you can follow those trends and see what is on Google Trends, it's on Instagram, Facebook, what are people sharing? You can turn. Like I've been the cruise ship analogy is really hits home with me because I've been on a lot of cruises. And I'll never forget, we're leaving Miami, Florida on a cruise ship. They come over the PA and they're like, hey, we've got to marine time, Coast Guard rules. We've got to go, rescue a vessel in distress. And so this cruise ship is stopping. It was actually a Cuban refugees. Wow. It was wild to see. I could see them in the boat. It was crazy to see in person. And it was actually, I looked the next day, it was online, the article about them. But this cruise ship spent 25 minutes. Like, we had hardly left. I don't know how many miles an hour or knots we were going, but it wasn't very fast. It took 25 minutes to stop, and it was comical because they had to finish the process. The boat had already come, the coast guard had already come and gotten them. But I guess because it's a law, maritime law, they have to stop at a boat in distress. Right. But that analogy, it took that ship forever. If I was in a 20-foot sea ray, I'd been like, stopped. Yeah. What's up, fellas? You're going to jail. Let's go. Or you're going back wherever you're going, however they do that.
Right.
That's how local businesses are. I always equate local businesses. You're a 12-foot tracker John boat, and you can go back in the creeks. You can turn left. You can turn right. You can go through the brush. You can do a lot of cool stuff. If you're a 400-foot yacht, you ain't turning or stopping, and that's what these big brands can't do. They can outspend on Super Bowl ads, but they can't outmaneuver and outsmart the little people. No. But you've got to have your ear to the ground and listen what's coming.
Most definitely. It's funny because I used to deal with a lot of that with Tim Hortons when it was new products, and you're going through sensory and you're going through test markets, and it's taking you 6+ months to have something come out.
Yep.
Because you're putting it out to, like you said, Tim Hortons has 6,000 restaurants.
Yep.
It's got to be good for the brand.
Yep.
Where the independent, you can get that out quickly. Maybe you sensory test it with a couple of your regular guests, but you can make that change and be into it well before those big guys.
Okay, break time. Restaurant owners, you're watching MPTV, so you're obviously interested in increasing your sales and profits. But what if I told you you could eliminate the hope and pray out of your marketing? You could spend money and actually see results. Most marketing starts with attention, like a billboard. The problem is that attention leads nowhere. That's why we created the ROI Engine Restaurant Program. We take attention and gain huge engagement, whether it's in-store or online. We help you build a database with deep customer information that's comprised of email, cell phone, and birthday. And then we drive them into the restaurant with trackable results. Yes, results you can actually see. If you're interested and want to have a conversation, check out restaurantmarketingthatworks.com. Worst case scenario, you get a lot of great ideas. Now back to the show. Okay, so let's go back to the attention. Let's go to the outspend or outsmart. If your Reality Tuesdays here in Northern Kentucky, which is a great little coffee shop, you leave tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
That'd be cool to get you down there. It's a good little coffee shop. So it's a little brand here, great product. They are never going to outspend Starbucks, Dunkin', or there's no Tim Hortons here, the big boys.
Right.
They're not going to outspend McDonald's and Chick-fil-A for breakfast marketing. And even just from a brand equity, when I say outspend, I don't necessarily mean money all the time. I also mean the fact that brand has so much weight to it in the market everywhere. I've heard stories about how Chick-fil-A is not even in within 4 hours of a city, and they drop one and it's because everybody has heard about it.
Exactly.
Well, Reality Tuesday, though, she can outsmart them. Mm-hmm. She can quickly pivot, do a lot of things. She can have a one-to-one relationship. She can put herself out there on marketing a lot quicker. We've got a casino client of ours that's actually going to start using this studio next week and creating a podcast and doing some really cool behind-the-scenes stuff we're going to help them with. Well, the reason they're able to do it, they're a small in the world of casino world.
Right.
They're a mom and pop in the casino world, I guess you could say, if that exists. But the competitors in this region are giant. And if they would have come to us and said, hey, we want to do a podcast, and we talked about it, it'd go through 400 layers of corporate America. So that small brand can easily do stuff quick. They don't have the layer upon layer of corporate world to go through and the attorneys and legal. I bring that back to the attention part is that look at the phone, look at the content that can be like the Tim Hortons of the world, the Starbucks. They aren't allowing the person in that Starbucks to create TikToks and Facebooks and Instagrams and put them up on the brand. Whereas, that owner of Reality Tuesday, she can get on there and do that over and over and over. That's how you outsmart, and that's how you get more attention, which at the end of the day, the more attention you get, the more people come buy your product.
Exactly. Money follows attention.
Yep.
Right. The big brands, it's protecting the brand. It's, you can't do this, you can't do that. They're so concerned about what's going to get out there that they don't allow them to do that. Like you said, there's a local place where I'm from called Lakeside Eatin' Treats.
Okay.
and they have been blowing up on Instagram. And all it is all their teams showing their favorite acai bowl or their favorite ice cream, dancing around, and it just showing how much fun they're having.
Yeah.
They're sharing it out. Their friends are sharing it out. You just 10x your marketing for $0. Maybe a little product for what they're.
Oh yeah.
That's it.
And that's the flexibility that the mom and pops, the independents, the smaller brands can use to outsmart the big boys.
Exactly. Yeah, it's huge. And it's so simple to do, but there's a lot. I think there's some fear because they don't truly understand how easy it is or how to do it. But there's probably somebody in your restaurant who does.
There's probably your one of your employees, 16-year-olds or 19-year-olds or 21-year-olds.
Exactly.
I mean, it's out there.
Yeah.
Restaurant owners, did you know Matt has free online marketing courses that teach you how to successfully market your restaurant? Email support@mattplapp.com to get access to the courses and a free social media content calendar.
Well, cool. I appreciate the conversation.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thanks. Our first, I think you might be our first Canadian
Wow.
on MPTV. So we are now
International.
multinational. MPTV. What is that? Worldwide. Prestige worldwide. So that's all we got. MPTV. Remember, if you're big, if you're little, there's a big difference. The big boys are a cruise ship. They can't turn. They can't do things that you as a small restaurant independent can do. That's it for this episode of MPTV.